obviously against Iran. Now, Mr. Clapper, the head of the National Security Council, the head advisor, has come out and said we should have provocations in the Brookings Institute papers, like the general public doesn't read that. Gary Hart's written letters about staging false flag terror attacks and warning Iran. We have all this other news unfolding on this subject, and it's perfect timing. We also have Dick Cheney, who Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter Cy Hirsch exposed 4 years ago, was planning to and was ordering the SEALs to paint up their own boats like Iranian blue patrol boats, missile boats, to attack a U.S. destroyer. And Admiral Fallon got word of this. It actually happened 5 years ago. We learned of it 3.5 years ago. As soon as Cheney left office, Hirsch was ready to talk about it for his safety and had White House sources, and it was later confirmed. He's a two-time Pulitzer Prize winner. But the issue here is that this is in the cards. And it's a very, very credible, real, specific threat that criminal elements running our government, the Israeli government, and NATO are set to stage these, and Navy SEALs are warning people. And, of course, it's the Navy SEALs doing it because they were the ones told to do this attack and prepare it. And Fox Fallon, the head of CENTCOM, flipped out and said, I'm not going to do this, and went public and said, we're not attacking Iran on my watch. We're pulling the ships back. We're not going to have a Strait of Hormuz conflict like some people want. And, of course, he got removed. Admiral Mullen, 2 years ago, who was then Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff, went to Israel and said, do not stage a USS Liberty. That was even in the Washington Post. I mean, this is serious. This is real. And so it's Fox Fallon, it's Admiral Mullen. Now it's Navy SEALs. I know one of their names, got their number. I'm going to contact him today. Got it yesterday from Ed Asner, but that article and video is up at Infowars.com. Coming up, TSA forces woman to use naked body scanner 3 times. We're here Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Central. That's 12 noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. And we got Max Kaiser coming up in the third hour for a full hour to take your phone calls on the economy and more. And we have Adam Kokesh popping in, dealing with Ron Paul and the amazing job he's doing getting 70+% of military donations compared to all other candidates, not just Republican, but also to Obama. The troops, because they're in on what's really going on, more than the general public, know Ron Paul's the way to go. I love how the corporate prostitute Decepticon media is always acting like the troops want us to stay in war. You know, for the troops, let's stay in Iraq and Afghanistan. For the troops, let's keep bases in 160-plus countries. And then you poll the troops, the vast majority want to cut back the size of the military, want to get out of a bunch of countries, and want to come home. Now, are there people who believe the propaganda that America's really under threat and who want to fight for this country? Yes. Are there guys just flat out addicted to combat? Oh, certainly. But the majority of them are amazing professionals who love this country and know that Ron Paul, who's a veteran himself, is trying to uphold our republic and the Bill of Rights and Constitution. In fact, there's an ad with an Air Force commander that Ron Paul's been running that we played on the nightly news last night. Darren McBreen's got it. Will you guys get that so that when Kokesh, a veteran of the Marine Corps in Iraq himself, joins us, we can play that, because I really think it puts it in perspective. And there's a graph that shows, I think in that graph it's 73%. I've seen the number 71, 73, 74, depending on what mainstream news article you look at from the Federal Elections Commission. It varies, but over 70% of military support Ron Paul. What does that tell you? See, they can steal elections at the county, state, and federal level in many areas. It's not total fraud, but they're able to manipulate and twist things. They've been caught over and over again. Ron Paul's pointing out the obvious because he has to. It's reality. He really did win Maine. The anomalies are just like they were in other states he won but got cheated. But you see, they can't cheat the small individual donations because those get reported. And so he gets 3-to-1 more small donations than any other candidate. Same thing 4 years ago. He gets more than 3-to-1 all the other candidates from the military. Just like you can't cover up, he has more signs, he has more bumper stickers, he wins all the online polls, he wins all the major straw polls. All the things they can't rig, he wins. And he's doubled or more than doubled all of his major vote tallies, except for Nevada, where he statistically got the exact number of votes and delegates in Nevada that he got 4 years ago. Now, does anybody believe that in some states he got 100%, others 200%, others 90% increase? But then 4 years later, he gets the exact same thing in Nevada. The fix was in. They didn't even bother to upgrade the computer fraud algorithm. Okay. Let me hit a few more news articles, and then what I'm going to do is go to some of your phone calls ahead of Kokesh on any of the issues I've raised. I want to hear from you. Quick comments so we can get to some people and move on. 800-259-9231, 800-259-9231. First-time callers. Let me add that caveat. First-time callers right now, 800-259-9231. Now, here's some of the other news I'm going to get to more after Adam Kokesh pops in for 20 minutes. Female passengers say they're targeted by TSA, CBS DFW. And, of course, Paul Watson did his more detailed article that's linked on drudgereport.com right now. It's also the top story at Infowars.com. TSA forces woman to use naked body scanner 3 times because of cute figure, and told her that. Now, remember a few years ago at another Texas airport, what was it, Amarillo? You can pull it up. Was it Amarillo or Midland? I'm going from memory. They came over, made her pull her shirt off, and 3 men commented on how attractive her mammary glands were. I guess those haven't been outlawed, like Amish showing. Well, I'm on a side issue. The point is they'll try to outlaw that, too, just being a mother. They're demonizing breastfeeding. I'm being serious. That wasn't attempted humor. The point is they all come over, they get in her face, tell her she's gorgeous, she's crying, and a supervisor comes over and tries to give her his number. Like, baby, you are looking good. Here's my number. They're that detached. I mean, they're ripping colostomy bags off old people. They're making 95-year-old women that can't walk be picked up by people out of their wheelchairs. It's total prisoner training. Zero tolerance, mindlessness, training you to submit to total tyranny. Now, continuing here. TSA forces woman to use naked body scanner 3 times because of cute figure. Now, remember, they denied the whole breast thing in Texas until she filed suit and got the video, and then they settled with her. They denied Miss USA until they got the video and had to admit they went in her underwear and into her body. I mean, I've been there at the airport and see when they check to see what it is. I've got a ABC News headline that I can't even say on the air. TSA, twisting bleeps, taking off clothes. They actually squeeze to check. I mean, Ron Paul's pointed out on this show, it's painful. He's a medical doctor. He calls it disgusting and painful. I mean, you got to be a medical doctor to know how to squeeze on men, to know what to do with women. I mean, this is a medical exam. That's why they have specialists when the police arrest you that, come in and do things like that. You are in a custodial arrest, and they're doing this to your family, your children, training them to be abused. And my point here is they're going to end up trying to deny this like they always do. They denied Miss USA. Turned out it was true. They denied they were stripping all those old ladies at JFK. Later had to apologize and admit they're doing it, but they're going to keep doing it. They lied about taking the woman's shirt off and commenting on her breast and hitting on her. They had to settle. They're out of their minds crazy because the government can only hire lunatics to do something that nobody else would do. So TSA forces woman to use naked body scanner 3 times because they said she had a cute figure. Remember in England, they used naked body scanners on different TV stars and tried to deny it. TSA, again, forces woman to use naked body scanner 3 times because of cute figure. Again, I just keep repeating this headline here. New legislation will force TSA to install passenger advocates at every airport. That's kind of like you can go to the warden if you don't like what's happening, or you don't like getting your leg blown off, you can go to an Army counselor. This is putting perfume on a pig. And it's the CBS News report out of Dallas with these women talking about how when they see a hottie, a good-looking woman, and of course when they see little girls especially, a lot of these guys are pedophiles, they run them in there and they scan them over and over again and make a big joke out of it. And then on top of it, do the physical search. Is there nothing the American people won't take? And I've had members of the state legislature on that introduced the bills, remember in Texas, to try to stop this, and describing their children and wives being groped, the family crying, the TSA laughing. And you know what Austin did? They now have responded by groping everyone and body scanning everyone that flies out of Bergstrom. And I've had members of the State House on who believe they're being singled out now. When they go through, look out. They get out the walnut crushers. I mean, this is all about total and complete domination over the population. Again, female passengers say they're targeted. Of course, the TSA says that's not true, that they randomly select people. That's bull. They decide when they want to check your card to put you through. But I fly a lot. Not as much as I used to, but I fly to cover media events. And I see them pull out the good-looking women. Eric Muller, Mancow Muller, talks about it. His wife's good-looking. Every time the groping begins. It is a sick joke. TSA people have been caught raping women in the parking lot, molesting children, hitting on women. It's constant, putting notes in their bags, how they want to have sex with them. The list goes on and on. This is a nightmare of federal brown shirts now expanding onto the streets. Now, I'm going to play that clip coming up later. And I'm also going to play a clip of this coming up later after we take calls and talk to Adam Kokesh. Obama's CFR Economic Council Director calls for global tax on C-SPAN. The head of his economic council, the folks shutting down other power plants but letting GE operate, they are saying on C-SPAN, we need a global tax. Now, you've already got it through the IMF and World Bank, but our government's paying. Now they're announcing the global airline tax, then the global automobile tax, then the other carbon taxes, all to be paid to private banks. That's admitted. They're skipping even paying the UN the money. They're going right to paying the big global mega banks. And it's not just our article. Weekly Standard picked it up as well. White House economic advisor, we need a global minimum tax. And that's what the OECD calls for. And the Ex-Im Bank and the International Bank of Settlements, they all call for global tax standardization and a global tax. What did Ban Ki-moon call for a week and a half ago? World government and world tax. Simultaneously, ADL, Southern Poverty Law Center, fired reports out to police and publicly that day saying it doesn't exist, report anyone talking about it. In the New York Times, in the Desert News, in the Associated Press, all happening. Boom, police doesn't exist. I mean, that's the type of brainwashing we're dealing with. So that's coming up. I also want to go over 20 things we can learn about the future of the American dream from the death of Detroit. I absolutely agree with this article. It's up at Infowars.com from the Economic Collapse blog. We've also got Moody's, Investors, Service, downgrading Europe. Big time. That's all part of the plan. We told you that was coming. Again, these countries are bankrupt because they're under banker management. Then the bankers' own rating agencies that AAA rate their derivatives crud to sell the governments. Now the governments have signed on to their debt, and then the bankers' rating agency downgrades the countries to put them into hock to the very banks that the countries are in hock to because they bailed out the bankers. It's so simple and over the top, it's hard to even grasp, isn't it? We give the bankers our money. Then we're in debt to them. They loan it back to us at interest. and then downgrade our sovereignty.